How are you?
Doing good, doing good. We're live. Hey guys, sorry we ran late. Is all my fault because I did what I sometimes do. So, Rahima, thanks for the patience there. How's it going?
Thank you so much. It's great. It's been great. You tell. How about you? How's everything at your
Oh,
side?
it's awesome. Today is Labor Day.
Oh
And
yeah.
as you know, my wife is European, so she has like three holidays all in one day for her. And it's uh it's a lot of fun, like a day of
It's
just
like a long
pure
holiday for you, long weekend for you. I guess for your
kind
wife.
of. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So it's funny, right? It's Thursday, so we have our holiday today, and
mm-hmm.
tomorrow is an official work day, but
Yeah.
Tuesday is another holiday, right? And
Okay.
Monday is an official work day. But everybody says, you know what? I'm just taking the whole week off.
Yeah.
So the whole world just left Sofia on Wednesday and saying, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the whole weekend and have fun, just like a
People
lot of us
doing
do
right
in the
by
States. It's
themselves.
like, it's a long weekend. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, people are doing right by themselves.
You got to,
So
you got to keep having some
yeah,
fun.
yeah. So here we start the show now. Hey
Yeah, let's start
everybody.
the show. Where's everybody from right now? Who's enjoying the holiday, by the way? I want to see who's doing barbecue today, other than just me.
And we can have them on here. We can have them in our comment section, and they can join us in our podcast. Hey, everybody, welcome to today's live session at Line for Deb. I'm Rahma Wasti, and here I am with amazing Philip Cutting. As always, drop into the chat where you're joining us from. Are you at your desk? Or on the move, maybe even sneaking this in between meetings.
So wherever you are, I'm so glad you guys made it. And today's session is going to challenge a lot of what you think you know about branding, especially if you've been chasing perfection. So get ready for some serious truth bombs and some fun, and to kind of push back. If you're listening live on this one, push back a little bit. See if you believe with what we say.
Yeah, and get over here with some questions that you want to ask Phil. So let's start with one bold questions. Have you ever felt like your brand needed to look flawless before you could launch, grow, or even post on social media?
Yeah, yeah, been there, done that, and have the scars to show it. The I was very much a perfectionist as a child. Um, like I failed shop class, not because I didn't do amazing work, but at the end of the course, I was so unsatisfied that my project wasn't quite perfect. I just smashed it, and I was like, you know what? It's all or nothing. And this is not very mature approach to life, right? A lot of us kind of feel that way. It's like, if it's not going to be perfect, I'm just going to destroy it. And I'm going to redo it or just continue work on it until it's perfect before I ever show the world. I hope after this call, you guys don't feel that way, because perfect brands are often the ones that fade the fastest. They are the less connected to people. Real brands are the ones that show up imperfectly, but authentically, as
Yeah,
they are, where they are. And these are the ones that people remember and they connect with, and they feel like they're human, not like little robotic brands that you can predict what they're going to do next.
yeah, exactly. So today we're unpacking why perfection is a trap, why realness wins loyalty, and how you can start building a brand that actually connects, not just impresses. So, Phil, another question from you: why do so many entrepreneurs think their brand has to be perfect to be successful?
Mm. Yeah, it's a good question, right? We often confuse polished perfection and appearance with trust. And we think that everything looks clean and flawless, and people will automatically believe in us.
Yeah,
But what actually happens is that it triggers our internal alarms that there's something not right here. It's too perfect, it's too staged. and all of a sudden it feels manufactured and it doesn't feel like we connect, not as humans would. And then you, by this perfection, you're kind of protecting yourself in a way, and that's not how you do it. There's a healthy amount of vulnerability that allows people to connect with you and to understand you and to feel part of your life. But that's not to say that we can't polish ourselves a little bit and strive for a good impression, right? But there's this personal ego part that gets in our way and lets people know that we feel ourselves is more important than they are. And this comes off sometimes intuitively, sometimes very obvious. But
Exactly.
let's dive into that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and honestly, I believe in today's world, people are desperate for something more real, rather than something airbrushed and something extremely perfect. They want something real more than
Yeah.
anything. So, uh, as we move on to the next question, let's talk about emotional side. Why do real brands connect more deeply? What do you think about that?
Mm. I think that connection creates, I mean, I think you get a connection by, what's the right word? Showing some vulnerability, showing your humanity, um,
I agree.
pulling away the curtain a little bit, right?
Exactly.
So I'm kind of cautious with how I use the word vulnerability in a lot of ways, but that's really what it is. But there's a difference between. Here's an expression that I've learned from the Moths, How to Tell a Story, and it's good to tell stories and to share things about scars because scars have largely healed, right? But
Yeah,
it's not so good most of the time to share while you're still bleeding, right? So
absolutely.
there's things you can show about yourself in the right time, and a lot of that has to do with when you've learned something from it, when you've gotten over that, when it's not going to, sharing it isn't going to hurt somebody else generally unless they need to be hurt, right? Like if somebody mugs you and you're hurt still but you're telling the police about this mugger, that's one thing, right? But if you're talking to an audience about how you're injured, about to your customers how you're injured, are you looking for sympathy sales, or are you actually connecting with them as somebody
Yeah,
that understands this pain point? So
exactly.
there's a balance in vulnerability and the right time to share, right?
Uh,
And when you master that, and it's hard to do, it takes time and takes practice, takes sharing it, right? And it's kind of a lot of self-realization in there. But when a brand shows, and by the brand I mean the people behind the brand, when it shows the behind the scenes reality of what they're living through and how they're helping things and their vulnerabilities and how they've learned and grown, and they share their challenges and
exactly.
maybe even admits mistakes that they've grown from, it makes them feel relatable because we've all had these situations. And when you think about your favorite brands, they probably feel a little bit like a friend or something you can connect with in some way, and not like a statue, like the Statue of Liberty, right?
Mhm.
And while we all love that Statue of Liberty, some of us know that she's actually chained down to the podium. So it's hard to connect with that.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right about that. And friendship beats admiration every single time when it comes to loyalty. This is how it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, let's look at the next challenge, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. There is one example. We have like a case study here. So there's an example that I want to share of Glossier. They didn't launch with a perfect mega brand thing. They grew by listening obsessively to real customers, iterating in public, and building with their community. This is how they did.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Good example. Right. So their earliest websites looked almost like a do-it-yourself project,
Exactly.
and they, but this kind of built trust. And the conversion it brought was priceless. Because perfection, it's a slow lane, right? It needs evolution, you know.
Mm-hmm.
While God was able to create man in his image on the sixth day, right?
Yeah.
My little critters take about 40 years to grow up to become a person. I have as you
Yeah.
know, I have a 5 and 11-year old and a almost 21-year old.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they, just like me, right, are just little evolutions of continuous improvement. Sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Sometimes they're making progress even. But this is humanity, right?
That's the truth.
This kind of rawness and going into it and um not hiding behind perfection is a big
Exactly.
deal. That whole, hey, here we are today. This is our passion. This is my goal. This is what we do. Here's what we do for other people. Just letting it out there. It's huge.
Exactly. I believe that perfection, most of the time we try to bring out perfection, but sometimes perfection kills the connection and it kills what the vulnerability that you spoke about. It kills that sometimes. So uh, we
Yeah.
the audience at times doesn't want it always so airbrushed, so smooth. No, they do not want that every time.
Hmm.
They just want to build a connection so they can trust on a brand, they can rely on somebody. And
Hmm.
yeah, Glossier actually had so many good clients, so many loyal clients to them. I'm one of them too, so yeah, that's how I know.
Right.
Because we connect.
Hmm. Yeah, perfect. That's a great example. Um, and sometimes you can kind of create the vulnerability, right? So luxury brands are like notorious for being boring.
Mm,
They try to have the perfect script and the perfect fonts, and they have to have some of this because a luxury brand demands a polished touch. But
absolutely.
it doesn't mean that they can't have that human fun side and to
Yeah.
use their kind of social media, for example, to maybe poke some fun at themselves a little bit once in a while, to kind of draw some attention, right? Uh pull, like if it's a, a purse company, right? I'm not going to name, label any, but say
Yeah.
they have they could show their perfect purse, and then they could show one that comes off the manufacturing plant that they found defects with, and they
Yeah.
could do some things, right? One, like they just maybe get rage on and destroy it because they hate imperfection, right? Just like we all
Yeah.
feel like that way. Oh, I made this thing, I'm just going to smash it, right? They could also maybe do something more humane, right? By, who knows, sharing it with somebody that couldn't have something like that.
Exactly.
And to kind of bring it down to people. But for some brands to say no, I'm always perfect, everything we do walks on water, it's like, oh my butt, right? No,
Exactly.
no,
The
you're not
dumpster
that perfect.
diving videos, they usually give out the most like premium stuff they had in the dumps, in the dumpsters, and nobody can have it other than the people who are diving into the dumpsters and they are having it for views and sometimes they sell it out. You're actually right about that. That they can share it or they can give it to some other person who is a little bit needy and people who
Yeah.
deserve it. Yeah, they can put a
Yeah,
smile.
there's a lot of mothers out there that, I mean, when it comes to purses, of course, mothers are the first thing that comes to mind. Of course,
Yeah,
I can make fun of, the guys that want a purse, right? But that's okay. We're not going in that direction today. Maybe I want a purse, right? Who knows? But, there's a lot of mothers out there that's working hard, have a lot of kids who are struggling. And just something like this would change their life, brighten up their whole year or their whole decade, right? And there's, and I'm not saying this is something any company should do, but this is little things like if you think about what
yeah,
kind of goodwill can you produce, they'll cost you nothing, right? And
absolutely.
it shows your reality. It shows how hard it is to make the stuff you make, and it shows the care that you give, and it shows it. These are just the ideas, right? Anyways, I'm diving into the weeds too much on that one. I
Yeah,
bet all of you guys could think of a brand. Actually, guys, throw in the chat. I'm so curious. Think of your favorite brand and think of, are they what kind of like identity they have. Are they for the common guy? Are they a luxury brand? And think of like just one thing that they could do that would be a great PR stunt. And I'm just calling it a PR stunt for the fun of it, but something they could do that would make them more relatable to you, right? That would be kind of fun. If somebody puts that in there, we'll talk about it right away. I
Exactly.
see we do have a comment in the chat
Yeah.
too.
Yes, we do have a comment from Maraj Ali. Some brands fade fast while others earn lifelong loyalty. What do you think separates the ones that fail from those that thrive?
Good question. Um, so it depends on the kind of play they're making. Sometimes you promote yourself by giving some degree of scarcity or by some values that you give. But there's a lot of brands that just they don't distinguish themselves for anything. They are neither value based nor mission based, and nobody connects to them. So they don't remember them. They don't remember who they are over history, and they never had a reason to connect with them over all the other options that are in the market or that are drawing to them and in touch in their lives. We all live in our personal bubble, right? We all are our own, want to be our own hero in the story. We all want to be um the guy that saves the world. We don't normally want to be the guy that's kind of helping this guy out, who's not really appreciated, right? But companies are that guide. They're the one that's enabling the person to be a hero. If you want to be a hero, go write a movie and a book about yourself, right? Do an autobiography or something, or go be Elon Musk for a week, right? But it's these companies that make the other person the hero and that hears that call to make a difference in the lives of people that really sustain themselves.
Absolutely. So yeah, as we spoke about it, let's be honest. Sometimes brands fake it without even realizing it. What are the biggest mistakes that you find that brands do?
It's so easy to do, and it's okay. Here's one I'm even guilty, right? Over curating social media to the point
Mhm.
that it feels sterile or showy or like, hey, I'm the hero, right? Taking a little too much of a corporate feel and not feeling like a human. And even just hiding every mistake instead of owning the ones that you could share and could learn from and others could learn from, and you can show that it's not easy for you, right? It's little
Yeah,
things that show that you're not pretending, because the when you hold everything too close to your heart, nobody can pay attention to you because you're just focused, right? And when you're so focused, you go right by your client. You just ignore them because you're focused on being Mr. Perfect or Mr. Corporate or Superman, right?
yeah, exactly.
Even Superman's not interesting without weaknesses. If it wasn't for kryptonite, we couldn't have a Superman story. And that's even boring because his weaknesses is like this one little thing. He doesn't have enough weakness to even be really interesting in a lot of ways, until we combine this with all his emotional stuff. And this comes to
Exactly.
mind because there's the new Superman movie coming out. So I think it's showing that you care and not just
Mhm.
saying it, right? How do you show that you care in general? What do you think? Like, how do you balance your need to be perfect to present an amazing product, whatever it is that you want to deliver the best quality, while also being true to reality and true to yourself and to be relatable if possible? What do you think, right? Is it possible even?
Yeah, guys, comment down below. So that what do you think? What I do is that I laugh a lot since I'm a perfectionist as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I suck at it. I suck at some tasks. So what I do
We all
is like
do.
I laugh a lot while making certain conversations when I feel like it's getting a bit awkward. Sometimes it's like it's good for other people and it's good for myself as well. things go
Hmm.
smooth. But yeah, sticking to reality, we can make it a little bit fun, just like you do. We can add a little factor of fun in that, and we can play around our questions and our statements. That's
Hmm.
how it goes. So that's about.
I think that's a lot of there's a lot of lessons in there. Uh, vulnerability through gameplay, through making things fun.
Yeah,
The ability to step outside of your box and to experiment and to discover if you're good or bad at something, and then decide, hey, is it worth it to get better at this skill, or maybe I'm just not even interested in this, but to try it a little bit before you make any assumptions. Uh, Perfect business model, right? And when you take into your personal level, your personal experience, I think it's great for personal development, for your company's growth, and that's to and I encourage everybody to foster this kind of environments in their businesses to help people kind of grow and be themselves and to bring more value and to
exactly.
make
It
it
brings
fun. Don't
value.
punish people for experimenting and not doing perfect.
Yeah, actually, that's what we want. That's what you ask, what we ask from our employees or are the people who work with us, our colleagues, to bring some authenticity to work.
Hmm.
That's how they contribute in our companies. That's how it evolves. I believe this is how the work evolves and the surroundings, the atmosphere, and that's how it changes. It's actually like realness. It isn't just better; it's also harder to fake, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so easy to hide behind that practice facade of that whole corporate. If I don't say anything, nobody will realize I'm a twit. No, get out there,
Mhm.
have some fun, learn, be a twit on occasion, right? Don't be that joker that is really just an all around idiot, right? But
Exactly.
have some fun in there, and occasionally make some jokes, have some fun, be brave.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of courage to step outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly. People are smart enough to learn certain jobs, but they can have a little bit of fun when they are working. So let's get practical. How can a brand start showing up more real today?
Mm. So let me think. There's nobody trusts anybody that totally changes overnight,
Yeah.
and it comes from, like, if you just jump, like, say you just jump out of the closet as the greatest drag queen in of all of history, right? Everybody's gonna be like, there's something funny here, right? But
Mm.
when you start off in the beginning, go little by little and start small and kind of start introducing different components, introducing certain behind the scenes information. Learn to tell a story about the lesson that you learned the hard way, or maybe you learned a lesson the easy way by hearing somebody else's story, and you went back and you saw, I saw this story. I heard this story from Jean Claude Van Damme, and I went to work and I saw we were just about to do what he did. And I was like, no, I'm going to fix that before it ever happens, right? It's not your story, and it's also not demoralizing another person, right? So it's a
Absolutely.
great way to share that story. And, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, I love Jean Claude Van Damme. I would not make that mistake ever, but oh yeah, I can see that, right? It's cool that this is cool. You're connecting.
Yeah.
Maybe you showcase progress, right? Not I love to do this with apps, and I don't get to do it very often because a lot of my clients are very scared on this one. But when you do it in the right case, it can be very powerful. And this is to show progress as you're building something, and not just showing the totally polished outcomes, right? So when
Mm.
you're building a mobile app, you
Yeah.
and a lot of my clients are like, yeah, I am ready. In 2 weeks I'm going to do my launch. My hard launch is going to be amazing, fanfare. We spent 6 months, or in some of my clients cases 2 years, because they had to make everything so perfect that's whatever. By the time they're ready to deploy it, the design is outdated and they have to start all over. but I know it's terrible, right? Can you imagine? I'm warning them like, don't do this, go. But you got to go fast with apps, guys. You got to go
Yeah.
fast. So show what you're doing along the way. Make small improvements where you can get something out the door quick. Share the story as you're building it. There is a whole theme of building with your community and to build that fan base as you're building your app, and just giving little teasers out there. Hey, here's what we're thinking. Here's a little piece of our design. Hey, give us some feedback. Oh yeah, this is our design now, and this is what we're about to do. Wow, right? It's like, I can't believe I was about to do that. Or, you cannot believe what Phil told me today. Right? This is like something all my clients should do. Is today this jerk Phil said this. Right? And there's going to be some of those for all of my clients, right? Yeah. Oh no, I'm terrible, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm being so considerate. And I'm like, why the hell did you just not try this? And like, Phil, you're being a jerk now, right? They're like, we're scared, or I don't think that makes any sense. And then I'm later, I told you so, right? And so every once in a while, I'm a real jerk, but I do it with love, right? You got to have some fun. Normally, I get laughs when I do that, and share some of that, right? So if your developers out there and sometimes he's being a jerk to you, share it out there and let the world know your developers being a jerk, but you love them anyways, and have some fun. Share the setbacks. Like, on every app out there, you're going to have some kind of setback, especially if you're doing AI based apps. And you can be like, hey, I started building this app. I was using this provider, and it was working great, and I scaled it up to 100 users, and the whole thing melted down, and all the voices changed, or all this AI just went to hell. Now I have to start all over. I'm having this glass of wine to comfort my soul. Right?
Oh yeah.
How many people will relate to that? And not every one of my clients, but 1 out of 5 clients I've have had that kind of experience at least once while building a project, especially on the projects that are innovative and challenging. So for you guys that are stepping out of the bounds and doing those things that are harder and more unique, then you can embrace this even more, because people love that. They love that adventure, that underdog spirit. And it's more fun to support an underdog than it is to support, the perfect superhero, right? So share those stories. Highlight what some of your real customers are doing. Not just stage testimonials where you got ask them to do stuff, but show them off, right? If you're a marketing agency or a development agency, show off some of the great stuff that some of your guys are doing and celebrate with them. Send them a card and some flowers, and I don't know, do something, but show do that, and to bring it into the community. This is a challenging one that I just mentioned, because a lot of companies that we build have their own communities, and there's ways to share good news with them that is meaningful and not showy, versus ways that you just wouldn't throw on Facebook as a commercial, right? Take that and build that community so much, because it's huge. It's really a big thing in supporting that those super fans. Like, read the book Super Fans. It kind of talks about this a little bit, but share those things with the community so they feel connected also.
Absolutely. And remembering realness as a practice, it's not a performance. So in 2025 and beyond, what will define winning brands?
My opinion, humble as it is. As you know, I am very a humble person, despite how perfect I am and I know everything. Here's what I think. The ones that will be brave enough to be human and not superheroes, the ones who tell the truth even when it's messy, the ones who build not for applause but for connection and effect, will win this. These are, in short, the real winners in not just the whole marketing business world, but in real life.
Yeah. Okay. So, the good news, anyone willing to show up real can build a brand that wins.
I believe so. But it takes practice, and kind of I go back to my philosophy of share scars and not open wounds.
Absolutely. So, guys, your turn. Drop your questions in the chat. Struggling with balancing professionalism and authenticity? Wondering how much real is too much? So, let's get into it. I would love if you guys would drop some questions in our comment section and ask Phil about what you think. So, Phil, there's one question here from Abubakar. What makes a brand seem real and trustworthy while others that seem perfect fail? How does these differences affect long-term success?
Okay, so part of your answer is right in the question,
Yes.
right? This whole long-term success is a long game. There's consistency. There is being there time after time after time, month after month. You're there. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be a slave to your branding, right? Sometimes you can go away for a month or 2 months, right? Or a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's even good to go away to be a little bit more quiet and then come back and see who's still interested, right? To gauge it.
Right.
And you'll find that every once in a while it's okay, right? The people in the world, they understand that you're going to go have busy times, and they understand there's times when you're more, have that natural tone to kind of be more out and in public, right? We all have our cycles of energy. So by maintaining your natural cycle and realizing when you have the energy to put into things and when you have to focus on other things is going to help you create that long-term strategy that you can sustain. And can be hard. And as you grow, you're going to find that there's things, in order to do this, you're going to have to delegate certain tasks, because this consistency part is what gets you momentum. And you have to maybe be consistent for 1, 2, or 5 years before you really pick up speed. There's so many YouTube channels and so many companies that don't become recognized or build a presence for the first 4 or 5 years. And there's a reason for this. People
Yeah.
know that if you want to scam people, you come out strong, you make a lot of commercials, you advertise, and you make a big splash. And people know that this is common when you don't have that long-term value behind you. So by just continuing to do what you do, pay attention to your customers,
Mm-hmm.
CEOs, take some of those sales calls sometimes. Don't just listen to the recordings, but sometimes talk to your customers, get on those customer support, the QA. Don't just delegate everything to your developers. Get in there and test the products that are being built. Don't try to, in the very beginning, don't hire out anything that you haven't done yourself pretty well in the beginning, unless you know it's just a huge waste of time and that it's totally not in your skill set. But even then, right? I know a lot of people that feel like they're terrible at creating copy, and
Exactly.
they totally delegate it out. They don't even read it. Like, no, that's that's what those people do. No, dear, get in there, read some of that,
Yeah.
try to create some of your own, and just do a little bit of that. Sure, delegate the most of it and go through it. But the biggest failures I've seen is when people say, I am going to come into this 4-hour work week, which is BS for the beginner entrepreneur. Total crap. Don't believe in it. I'm sorry, Tim Ferriss. Go to hell. Right? This is crap, right? So many people have lost their savings because they want to have this corporate 4-hour work week where they're hiring everybody to do their goon work. Get in there and do the dirty jobs too for at least a little bit, and occasionally touch on those jobs just to make sure things haven't changed. Make sure that the people below you are being efficient, and don't use that excuse that um, this work should just be delegated to somebody in the Philippines, for example. Great, delegate it. Support our Philippine friends or our friends doing remote work. Love on them, but do it yourself, because this creates a disconnect, and the customers feel that it feels unauthentic when you kind of lose that connection with the work that you're
Mhm.
doing and the value that you're trying to provide. So don't get too far up on that mountain. Um, Not a lot of us really will travel to see the guy in the mountain.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't agree more to that. So, Phil, as we are moving towards the end of this session, do you have something in your mind that you want to say to our audience? Any message that you want to share with them?
Mm. You know, I just want to encourage a simple takeaway, right? And if I can make this simple, I'll try. The world doesn't need another version of the perfect you or the perfect corporate brand. It needs yours, right? It needs you to be the real you so that you can change the world the way God made you. And almost nobody ever wakes up being that person. It takes growing, it takes learning, evolving in some ways, and kind of proving that you have heart so that people can see that and see that you care. And then they will be more attracted to you. And I think it just becomes that easy.
Absolutely. So it's never too late. Start where you are. Share what's true. Build from connection, not from performance, and you'll find that's where all real loyalty and real growth begin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But also, don't forget, chase the perfection a little bit. Okay. I'm not saying don't try to be perfect. We can get there. Look, thanks for
Exactly.
joining us today.
What you would do
Um,
that.
yeah, right. Chase that dream. Be amazing, but don't expect to wake up that way. Just remember, you have your story, and it's exactly as it is powerful that it's truly yours. So know that while you're maybe not enough exactly as you are, you really are enough. And don't hide it, lead with it. And, most part, God bless you.
All right. See you guys next time, everybody. And until then, stay real. Keep building up. Keep building forward. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye bye, guys.